In this week's Parsha, Parshas Ekev, we have the famous verse, V'achalta v'savata barachta. They'll eat and you'll be satisfied and you'll make a bracha, you'll make a blessing. And that is alluding to Birchas Hamazon, the grace after meals. The Meshech Chachma points out something very interesting. There are two brachos, two blessings that are midoraisa, that are biblically mandated. One of them is from our week's Parsha, Birchas Hamazon, grace after meals. After you have bread, you bench. But the other bracha that is midoraisa, that is biblical, is what? Birchas HaTorah, the blessing that you make before you learn Torah. And the Meshech Chachma notes that there's an inverse relationship between these two brachos. When you go ahead and learn Torah, you make that bracha before you learn. But when you go ahead and eat something, yes, there's a bracha rishona, there's a bracha b'hamotzi on that bread, but that's not biblical. It's only after you're satisfied, then you bench, that is biblical. So Meshech Chachma says, isn't that interesting? One of the biblical brachos is before, and one of them is after. Why is that? He says it's because we're trying to exercise gratitude in a situation where it's not natural. When you are about to sit in a lecture, you might think, how long is this going to be? It's a little bit boring. You're even looking right now on the YouTube and saying, how many more minutes is this person going to speak? But then after you go through it, you say, you know what? That was actually kind of a nice idea. And afterwards, it's easier to appreciate learning, but beforehand, there's a resistance. And when it comes to eating, when you're starving and you have that meal in front of you, it's easy to say that bracha rishona, that initial bracha. God, thank you so much. I'm so hungry. Thank you for this meal. In fact, the Gemara in Bracha says that you can learn out the bracha rishona from svara. It's logical. It's logical to thank God when you're so hungry. But once you're satisfied, you've had your full, you want to get up and go on to the next thing. But God says, pause. Birchas Hamazon. Now you have to bench. Now you have to express gratitude of what you had, even when it's not natural. Now that you're satisfied, say thank you. In our lives as well, there are situations where gratitude is easy to come out of our mouths, and there are times when it's more difficult. Oftentimes, it's most difficult to express gratitude when it's someone close to us, someone that we see every single day, and we take for granted the various things that they do for us. When someone on the street does something kind, we can say, wow, that was so thoughtful, that was so considerate, because there's a distance there. But we have to practice that muscle of gratitude when it's not even natural. To think in our lives, how can we express thanks to those who do things to us on a daily basis, or maybe it's not as natural to express gratitude. May we take the lesson of Birchas Hamazon, of Achalta v'savata barachta, and may we take the lesson of Birchas Torah to be able to develop the muscle of gratitude. Shabbos.